right. So how are you today, Sheree?
I'm doing well, Jamie. How are you doing?
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful day. The sun is out. Spring is springing. I hope it lasts.
I hope so too. So it's been like it snowed where I am, and there's still snow all over the ground, but the weather's starting to get warmer.
Yeah, yeah, here
Hmm.
too. There's this little spots here and there of some snow.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So what have you been up to these days?
Oh my gosh, it's been so busy. Spring is springing all over the place in every arena. And I'm just
Hmm.
super excited because I've got new listings coming out and I've got buyers coming out asking questions. And so that's why I thought I'd jump on with you and see if we could have a conversation about money. How do we have?
So
Yeah.
So what's really funny though is that my mother is like, but you can't like wear the name tag out and you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, well, mom, if people don't know I'm the money lady, then how are they going to get their
Yeah.
questions answered? That's fine. We could do it here though.
I love it.
So there's a lot happening with regards to money, with regards to the economy and home ownership.
Hmm.
One of the big things that's come out is that a new Fed chair has been nominated, still has to go through the approval process, but he seems to be somebody that both the administration and Wall Street, the bankers, seem to like. So because of that, one of the interesting things, people sometimes think we want to see rates go down like this, and that's not the case. You do want to have a steady market, like steadily going down if possible.
Yeah.
But the worst thing that we can have in our economic environment is a lot of volatility. So
Yeah.
now is a great chance for people to buy because the economist, the influencer economists still believe that the rates are going to go down, but it's going to be a steadiness of going down. I'm sure you talk to people all the time with regards to saying, like, I'm waiting for the rates to go all the way down to 2020 levels, right?
Yeah.
What do you say to those people? And then I'll let you know what my response is.
What I'm saying to those people is if you wait too long, home prices are going to go up. And so if you wait for interest rates to go all the way down back to those 2% rates, you're going to miss out on everything you're saving in home price.
Hmm.
So there's a catch 22 there, and we have to find that right balance, you
Yeah.
know. So I say buy today, get in now if you can qualify and if it makes sense for you. And if rates do get down there, refinance then.
That is correct. So, a lot of people don't recognize that for every 1% that the rates go down, another
Mhm.
5 million people enter the buying market. And like you said, or let's say that we have a house, right?
Mhm.
And all of a sudden the house goes from only one person putting in an offer to now you have 10 people putting in an offer. Well,
Yeah.
then yes, the price of that house is going to go up, and just because the rates went down, if the price goes up even more, then your cash out of pocket is
Yes.
going to go up as well. The
Yeah.
other thing that I will say is if you work with the money lady and get your mortgage today, and then you want to refinance over the next 2 years, we will do that with no lender fees. So we will not charge you again lender fees in order to reduce that rate and reduce your family's out of pocket cost.
It's
So
incredible.
yeah, so no need to wait.
Yeah, so they could get in this year at the
Mhm.
current prices, and then in 2 years, still capture any appreciation that would have happened somewhere in most areas, 3 to 5% each
Mhm.
year, and then get their refinance?
Absolutely.
Now, see, that
Absolutely.
to me seems like the better deal.
It is. It is. And the final thing is everybody, and I rarely use the term everybody, but everybody says that the rates will never get back down to the
Yeah.
2%, 3% levels again.
Yeah.
It's going to take an absolute miracle in order for that to happen.
Yeah. So just
Yeah.
get in when we can.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
But I did lock somebody in earlier this week at a 5.99% for a conventional loan. Primary
Wow.
home conventional loan. So the fives, the high fives, the low sixes, those are not uncommon these days.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So are buy downs still a thing?
Buy downs are still a thing if that's what you choose to do. One of the things that we look at with buy down, so first of all, let's explain what a buy down is.
Yeah, that's
What a
good.
buy down is basically if I tell you, hey, you can get an interest rate of, let's say, 6.5% today. But if you choose to pay $4,000, and that's just a made up number, right? If you choose to pay $4,000, we can take you from a 6.5% rate to a 5.75% rate. And
Mhm.
you get to decide if it's worth it for you to spend that $4,000 up front in order for you to reduce your rate. So that's what a buy down is. What I've discovered, Jamie, though, is that when I say it's $4,000, and then I say to people, true stories, if you intend to keep this mortgage, not the house, but the mortgage, longer than 36 months, then paying this money up front makes sense. And people are like, no, I think I'm going to refinance before 36 months. I'm getting a lot of people coming back to me saying, no, I think I'm going to pay slightly more per month now because I know I'm going to want to refinance earlier. So,
That sounds like a lot of confidence.
yeah. So, what we do is we just present people with options. Like,
Mhm.
we will say, hey, you've got three or four options here. Let us know how you feel. And
Mhm.
when people are able to kind of look at it with the numbers and kind of ask questions and things like that, you're able to make the decisions for what's best for you and your family. I did
Awesome.
have a couple of people though that did do the buy down. They're like, we don't care. We're staying with this mortgage for a long time. So
That feels more conservative to me, a little bit more safe.
yeah, yeah. Look, yeah, I've had both scenarios. So
Yeah. Well,
mhm,
everybody's scenario is going to be different for sure. So
mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you have the options for people because we have a lot of scenarios out there.
Yeah, we have a lot of scenarios out there. And so when we're looking at helping people get funding, we're looking at people's five things primarily. And this is across the board, whether you use me or any other lender. And practically for all programs, this is the same thing. We're looking at people's credit score,
Okay.
people's debt, people's income. People's assets are basically the money that you have available for down payment and closing cost.
Okay.
And the fifth thing is the property itself. And when we look at all five of those things, our goal is to match you with the loan program that works based on all five of those things.
Okay.
Now, let's take credit, for example. Does that mean you have to have an 800 credit score? No, there's credit. There are loans available for people who have all the way as low as a 500 credit score,
Wow.
all the way up. Now, between 500 and 580, Jamie, the supermajority of lenders are not able to help you. But
Okay.
there are some lenders that can, and I can point you in the right direction of those people.
Okay.
Then there are some credit scores that you need in order to get down payment assistance, which we'll talk about that pretty soon as well. Um, but from a 580 on, the supermajority of people are able to purchase a home with a low down payment.
Interesting.
Mhm,
So that really speaks to some entry level home buyers then.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
there is hope and possibility for them.
there's hope and possibility. I have seen people purchase homes for 0% down. I had one, now he was a military person that got a check at the closing table. I have seen people get down payment assistance and have to bring, let's say, $5,000, $6,000 to the closing table. So the biggest thing that I would suggest to people, if the asset thing, if you're saying, I don't have a lot of money for down payment and closing costs, is to
Mhm.
talk to somebody and let's do a soft pull of your credit, complete an application, look at the numbers and see, hey, based on your budget, the money that you have available to you, is there a way for you to purchase a home if that's what you choose to do? Right?
So really the first step is just taking that first step and asking the question.
Yeah, people are oftentimes surprised that
Mhm.
home ownership can be within reach with a plan.
Yeah.
With a
Yeah.
plan. Mhm,
Oh, I'm so glad we're talking about this because I do
mhm,
run into people who are just so afraid to even ask the question because they think they're just not ready or in a position to buy.
mhm.
They feel like it's just that far out of reach. And I
Yeah.
love what you're saying here in that even with a 580 credit score, there is a possibility of home ownership, even with a zero down type of program. Is that true?
Mhm. Yeah, so in North Carolina, where you are, for example, there is the North Carolina Home Advantage program. You can get up to $15,000 to go towards down payment and closing cost.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, $15,000. It's a North Carolina specific program. And I'm just looking down because I want to make sure I get this right. Credit score of 640. So you don't have to have a super duper credit score of 640. And there are some income thresholds. So
Okay.
right now they're saying an annual income of $140,000 or less. Now, some of you may say, but Cherie, I make more than 140,000 and I still need assistance. Well, then I have other programs that are nationwide programs that you can tap into as well. Or some of you may say, well, Cherie, my credit score is lower than 640. Okay, we have one of two choices. We can either work together to get you above a 640, or we can look at another program that I have that goes down to a 600 credit score. Yes.
Will you still get the $15,000 credit?
So with that other program, it is up to 3.5% of the purchase price.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yes, for that specific program.
This is incredible.
Yeah. And then I'll ask you a question. So, whenever I am coaching people on affordable home ownership, is what I call it, there
Mhm.
is the down payment that people need, the closing costs that people need, and then the monthly payments that people have. For
Yes.
the closing costs, I would love for you to talk to people about getting assistance with the closing costs through seller credits, explaining to people what seller credits are and how you and I can strategically work together with that borrower in order to see if it's possible for them to get those seller credits to help with the closing costs.
Oh, this is where we all get to act like a team and work together. I
Mhm,
love seller credits and I love negotiating them because oftentimes just right now, we're in a market where sellers are finding that their homes are sitting just a tad bit longer. And
mhm,
so, what I'm coaching my sellers on is possibly giving some incentive to buyers, such as a seller credit, so that they can use it toward their closing. Because we have a lot of buyers coming into the market, entry level, and money is tight, and so it really incentivizes them and helps them if we can say, hey, we're going to give you up to 3% of your purchase price toward the closing so that you can use it for what you need. And it really helps because if you think about that, on a $300,000 home, 3% is about $9,000. And so that seller is either going to be looking at a price reduction or just giving that credit so that he can get that home sold. So it usually behooves my seller to give that credit to a buyer, and then the buyer can use that to actually qualify for their loan.
correct. So, in your example, if the person is able to, let's say, get $15,000 from
Mhm.
this North Carolina Home Advantage program, plus the $9,000 from the seller, then that is 24,000, if my math is
Yeah.
correct, in assistance. So can we guarantee that for any one person? No. It depends on a lot of different factors, right?
Mhm.
But we can work together to see what we're able to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
But how nice is that for an entry level buyer to come in with $24,000 of assistance to get into your first home?
Correct. Correct.
Mm,
Yeah.
loving it.
Yeah. What other ways do you help first time home buyers, not just monetarily, but with just being able to realize the dream of home ownership?
The ways that I help them is by finding lenders like yourself that can
Mhm.
find the solutions for them to overcome the big three: credit, down payment, and then interest rates. So really,
Which is really monthly payment for us.
yeah,
Okay.
that's always what it comes down to, right?
Yeah, it does. So, and you and I are speaking the same language. So, one of the things that I also counsel people on or just talk with them about is when I'm having a loan consultation initially with the person, I will ask you, what's your monthly budget or thought process for your mortgage itself? Like, how much would you feel comfortable paying on a monthly basis for your mortgage? And what we try to do is make sure that the number that we end up with is as close as possible to what you're thinking.
Mm.
You also have to be honest. I was talking with a gentleman in the DC area, and he wanted a $1.2 million house, and he thought he could get it for $2,000 a month. And I'm like, okay, no, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to do those kinds of numbers. But I had another client who said 2,500 a month, and we ended up at like 2,650 a month. She was able to go up a little bit more comfortably. But that's one of the things that I try to just encourage first time home buyers as well to think
Mhm.
about is when I bought my home, I knew that the first year was going to be a little tighter. And I think for the super majority of homeowners, the first year is a little bit tighter because you're buying things for the house. You want to make sure you're turning it into a home. You're at Home Depot and Lowe's practically every weekend, things like that. But when you're moving beyond the first year, in year two, three, four, etc., then the mortgage payment, if we're doing it right, should feel as comfortable as possible. And I care about people's finances long term. I want you to not only be able to afford the mortgage, but also if your kids want to get into some sort of activity, that you've got the money for that to be able to do that, or to go on the family vacation to, I don't know, grandma's house or
Yeah.
whatever it is as well. And I call myself, your lender for life. I want to be the person that you come to, and we have annual check ins, just like you go to the doctor every year. Maybe you speak to a financial advisor as well every year. I want to talk with you every year. I want to know how you're doing, what's happening in your life. Does this mortgage still suit you? Because the mortgage that you get today may not be what you need 4 years from now because life changes, right? Things
Mhm.
happen.
It
So,
sure does.
yes, yes. So, my goal is to make sure that you are taken care of with probably what's going to be the biggest debt that you're going to have for life. And we want to make sure that that is taken care of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, you brought up something about changing up your mortgage, say 4 or 5 years down the line. Is that
Mhm.
something advisable? Because I've heard other people talk about how that's not because your mortgage resets or something. I don't really understand that.
It depends on the person and what they're doing it for, right?
Mhm.
We have sometimes people get married
Mhm.
and they want to move into another home and have their current home or the home that they're leaving from be a rental, right? So you'll have life changes like that, or people will have children, right?
Mhm.
Or a child will go to college. And then also with the mortgage reset, maybe
Mhm.
we don't need to do a reset. Maybe you have enough home equity where we're able to just do a second mortgage for you to pay off that high interest credit card debt.
I
Can we
see.
take you from an average 24% debt to an average 8% debt because now we're able to give you a second mortgage, wipe out all of those credit card debt.
Mhm.
I just got a phone call from somebody yesterday who owns a home with her partner,
Mhm.
and the partner now wants off the mortgage. She's doing a refinance in order to get the partner off the mortgage. Life
That
does
makes
happen.
sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
So I am a very blessed woman, right? I wouldn't suggest and I wouldn't encourage people to do a refinance or take money out of their home just willy-nilly for any reason whatsoever. If you're like, Cherie, I'm gonna take this money and go to Barbados, I'm like,
Mhm.
you sure you want to do that? If it's a legitimate reason that people need, then yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That was a really great explanation. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah. And then we have some people who are like, their goal is to be debt free and
Mhm.
to have this house be something that they can retire in and live in and pass away in. And if you tell me that at the very beginning, then 5 years from now, we may say, well, hey, resetting everything may not be the best decision for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I have a question, a very specific one, because
Uh-huh.
I am looking at condos. I have a condo development that I am representing, and we have condos for sale under 200,
Hmm.
200 and below. And I'm just curious what kind of loan programs would be available for those coming into the market, either investors or maybe first-time homebuyers or professionals that want to own their own property.
Yeah. So let's start off with people who want a low down payment program. Those condos may be something called unwarrantable. And an
Mm.
unwarrantable condo doesn't mean it's bad, it just means that it's not recognized in the Fannie Mae system as a condo that can get a conventional loan. So you could get it for a low down payment.
Mm.
What's most likely occurring with that specific property is that it is an unwarrantable condo. So for my first time home buyers, unless you have 10% to put down, it may
Mhm.
be difficult for you to get a place or purchase the condo. Okay.
Okay.
All right. If you have 10% or more to put down, depending on your credit score, then there are loan programs that we are able to put you into for these types of condos. So if you're going to be living there yourself as a primary home, I don't know, let's say you've got a mid six credit score all the way up, you could probably get in with 10% down. $200,000 condo, $20,000 down plus closing costs, not necessarily so bad. It'll also depend on what the condo fees are as well.
Okay.
That's one of the really big things. For our investors, which could be really great for you to do a short term rental or a medium term or long term rental, there are DSCR loans. DSCR is a fancy term, simple concept. As long as the rental income can pay for the mortgage and you have a credit score of about 660 or higher, you're pretty much approved for the loan.
Wow.
Yes.
That's powerful.
Mhm. So one thing about the condos though is it really will depend mostly on the condo fees, whether or not you have the rental income being able to pay for the mortgage. Depending on your credit score, we have options where the rental income doesn't necessarily have to pay for the mortgage and you could still get approved. So you could come to me and talk about that as well. Sometimes people will say, let's say it's a 3 bedroom condo, right? You may purchase it and the rental income on paper will not equal the mortgage, but you intend to rent out those 3 bedrooms to individual professionals that want to live in that area. So
Mhm.
now let's say that the condo rents for, I'm just going to keep the number simple, $1,000 a month. I know that's probably not the number, right? Let's say it'll rent long term for $1,000 a month, but you know you could rent each room individually for $600 a month. Well, now we have 600 times 3 bedrooms is $1,800. So now you're getting $1,800 in rental income, even though on paper we're only recognizing $1,000, if that makes sense.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I think that's called the house hack, isn't it?
It is house hacking. If it's a pure investment property, people will call it room rentals.
Room
So
rental.
there are people that actually make very good money as investors, do buying houses,
Mhm.
in great areas where a lot of young professionals want to live, or sometimes where certain immigrant communities live, and
Mhm.
they don't want to rent the whole house. All they need to do is rent a room.
Wow.
Yeah.
So moving away from the condos, let's talk about
Mhm.
that a little bit.
Mhm.
That DSCR loan you were mentioning earlier.
Mhm.
So can someone buy a single family home, say a 4-bedroom house, and do this kind of investment
They can.
with a DSCR loan?
Yes. DSCR loan is the same thing. You can buy up to 9 units with this same concept. Does the rental income pay for the mortgage? Yes.
Wow,
Hmm.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's a topic we're going to have to do at Grid.
Well, we can deep dive into it,
Oh my
but I will
gosh,
be a grid in May.
I love
So
that one. I
I
love
will
that
be in grid
one.
at May for your Show Me the Money. So
Yeah.
we can definitely do a deep dive into that.
Okay. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Awesome.